everyone. My name is Jose Luis Enriquez Chiñas. I am a PhD candidate in the Political Science Department at UW-Madison, and I will be the instructor for PS408, the American Presidency, for the fall semester. Due to the current COVID-19 related restrictions on campus, this class will be entirely online. We will never meet in person. So I decided to make this video in order to 1, introduce myself and the TA to you, 2, tell you a little about the class, walk you through the syllabus, explain what is expected of you, and 3, show you how the Canvas site for the class is structured. My work as a political scientist focuses on election law and election administration in the United States and in Latin America. I have also specialized on the executive branch in the United States, both for my research and as an instructor. In practice, this means I try to walk the edge between comparative politics and American politics. So I really like teaching this class because it allows me to bring students along on my own exploration of this quite peculiar, successful institution, especially when you consider it from the historical, comparative, and contemporary perspectives. I hope I can transmit to you how fascinating the executive branch of the United States is as an object of study. There is no wrong time to study the American presidency, but we have the privilege of doing so during a presidential campaign, and quite an atypical one at that, with high levels of polarization among the electorate, social unrest amid calls for police reform, and of course, in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. Further, Donald Trump's victory in the 2016 election and the way his presidency has unfolded have challenged a lot of the conventional wisdom that presidential scholars had previously agreed on. All of these factors will influence the content of the class as well as the discussions that derive from it. Before we move on, let me introduce you to the TA for the class, Kate Carter.
Hi, my name is Kate Carter, and I'm a 6-year PhD candidate here in the Political Science Department at UW. I'm looking forward to being your TA for Political Science 408, the presidency this semester. I know we'll have a great semester working through a fantastic syllabus. My own research looks at institutions, elections, and democracy. I'm currently writing my dissertation, which examines how the use of technology in elections can affect the quality of elections, specifically in East Africa. I've been doing ongoing fieldwork and data collection for this project in Kenya over the past few years. This project looks to understand how technologies like biometric voter registration can affect how voters perceive elections and how parties respond to elections. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions or concerns about the course. My email address will be in the syllabus, and you can use it to reach me. I will also be holding regular office hours throughout the semester. They will be weekly on Wednesdays from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., and you can make an appointment to meet with me during this time. Thanks again, and I look forward to working with you this semester.
Because of COVID, I haven't been able to see Kate in many months, and I miss her. Let's now move on to how the class is structured. This version of PS408 is designed specifically for a purely online experience. As such, I have favored asynchronous lectures and assignments. Other than the midterm and final exams, there will be no synchronous activities. That is, there will be no synchronous lectures and no discussion sections. Instead, students are expected to listen to the lectures at their own pace and to submit a series of scheduled assignments that shows they are engaging with the class materials. I think the easiest way of explaining how the class works is breaking down a typical week. On Mondays at 2:30 p.m., I will post an episode of the PS408 podcast, hosted by me. Every episode of the podcast will be between 40 to 45 minutes. This podcast will take the place of the lectures that you will attend if the class was in person. I chose the podcast format instead of recorded or synchronous lectures because many students in this course may tune in from locations where bandwidth is limited. I believe the format maximizes flexibility, which to me is one of the main advantages of online learning. You can either stream the podcast on Canvas or download it as an MP3 file. You can also subscribe to it on Apple Podcasts. With each episode of the podcast, I will also release a downloadable outline of the lecture. I have designed these outlines as guideposts to the key points in the lectures and as a showcase for relevant graphics and tables I want to share with you. You may also want to fill in the outlines as you listen to the podcast, but this is in no way mandatory. Also, at the end of Monday's podcast, I will announce the 2 discussion questions for that week, as well as which students have to write a response paper on them. More of that in a minute. Let's now jump to Wednesday. On Wednesday at 2:30 p.m., I will release the second episode of that week of the podcast with its corresponding outline. Also, by Wednesday at midnight, the students assigned for that week will have to submit a paper to the discussion questions mentioned at the end of Monday's podcast. The response paper will have to be of between 500 and 600 words and will be posted on the discussion section of our Canvas. These discussion assignments will begin on the second week of the class. On Friday at midnight, you have to submit to Canvas one multiple choice question with 5 possible answers and one short answer question with its answer. Both questions must be related to the topics and readings assigned for that week. This is your opportunity to show us that you are keeping up with the readings. Finally, all the students that were not assigned to write a response paper for that week must go to the discussion tab on Canvas, read their classmates' response papers, choose one, and post a comment under that response paper explaining why you think it is the most compelling one. These comments must be between 150 and 200 words and are due Sundays at midnight. So, to reiterate, every week you are expected to submit 2 assignments, either a response paper or a comment on our discussion forum, and 2 questions with their answers. Besides these assignments, there will be one midterm exam on October 21, one final exam on December 16, and you have to turn in a 10-page paper on December 9. I will give you further instructions about the paper on the upcoming weeks. The class is structured around 7 different blocks. For the first couple of weeks, we will go over the constitutional foundations of the presidency and how the powers of the president have evolved through history. The second block concerns the politics of presidential elections. Through the end of September, we will cover the nomination process, the general election, and will pay special attention to the 2016 election and this year's upcoming election. The third block is called Presidential Governing, and it will take us pretty much all of October. We will discuss topics such as presidential transitions, public opinion and the media, the institutionalization of the office of the president, and how presidents reach decisions. That will take us to the first week of November, when the presidential election will take place. Everyone will be busy that week. I mean, not me, I'm not an American citizen. But most of you are, and probably are planning on voting and in general taking an active role in the election. So I thought we could take a respite that week from discussing about American politics. Instead, we will cover what I think is quite an interesting topic that will give you a broader perspective of the American presidency. We will talk about how other countries have adopted the presidential model and whether this contributes to regime stability and democratic consolidation. The rest of November is dedicated to how presidents govern in a separation of powers system. We will study presidents' relation with Congress, the judiciary, and the rest of the executive branch. For the 6th block, in early December, we will bring it all together in order to analyze how presidents craft and implement public policy. We will cover first domestic and economic policy, and then foreign policy and war powers. The last block, scheduled for December 9, is a conclusion of the class that will focus on how to evaluate presidents and how this institution may change in the future. There are 2 books assigned for the class: Presidential Leadership and Policy Making, chapters of which will be assigned throughout the semester. By the way, if you are a fan of President Trump, you can walk around campus with your book. And if you're not, you can, put a resistance sticker on it or something. The other book is Thinking About the Presidency by William Howell. This is a short book that you will have to read at the beginning and at the end of the semester. The reading load for the class is the appropriate one for a 400 level course, and it includes materials from academic journals and books that require a higher degree of scrutiny and attention. So, I strongly recommend that you don't fall behind on the readings, both because you need to do the readings in order to be able to submit the assignments, and because you will not be able to catch up on the last couple of days before the exam. Let me now show you how to navigate our Canvas site. This is the homepage. At the top, you will find 4 quick link buttons. The podcast button will take you to the most recent podcast and its outline. Of course, there isn't still anything yet, but it will be there. The discussions button will take you to the discussions page. Every week, starting on the second week of the class, there will be 2 discussion threads pinned to the top. The questions button will take you to the respective assignments for that week. You will be able to submit this assignment by entering text directly on the browser or by uploading a file. Going back to the home page, there is a link to this very video, and then the rest of the page shows the schedule for the class, including links for the readings that are not in the books. That's our Canvas. Finally, I want to invite you to take advantage of our office hours. Kate already mentioned hers. Mine are basically any time that works for both of us on either Thursday or Friday. You can use our office hours to discuss anything related to the class, including the lectures, the readings, and the assignments. At the very least, you should meet with one of us later in the semester to discuss your final paper topic. That is going to be it for me today. Please let me know if you have any questions by sending me an email to jlenriquez@wisc.edu. I am really looking forward to working with you this fall. Have a nice day.